night in college.
My best night in college.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. My buddy and I were drunk at the zoo. And we were there near closing time. It was like around 6 or 7. And we were hammered. We're walking around, we're making fun of animals and shit. And we get to the rhino pen. And my buddy goes, look at that. I go, it's crazy how big that thing is, right? And he goes, it's weird that they're scared of people, right? And I go, and I said, no. This animal has a sword on its face. They don't make you with a sword on your face if you're scared of people, you know what I mean? He goes, no, they're like cows, they run away from people. I go, no. And he says to me, $20 so that I don't jump in the pen with a rhino. Now in college, in the 90s, $20 is 10 beers. That's a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, 20 bucks? You don't jump in the pen? He goes, 20 bucks. And he goes, 20 more bucks if I touch it on the ass. I said, deal. Now the pen, this rhino's name was Lord. And it was a long rectangular pen. And it was at the end of the pen behind a wooden fence. And there was a fence and it had an opening big enough for the rhino to get out, right? So now this dude, he was wearing jeans tighter than mine. He jumps in wearing these Wranglers, he's had cowboy boots on. He's like this little 5'6" dude from West Texas. His name is Jock. By the way, he is now a heart surgeon. Now the rhino pen is the walls are cement walls. It's not like there's steps up and down. So he grabs on the side and he just lets go and he drops in. I bet you the wall's probably 9.5, 10 feet. Maybe a little less, maybe 8. And so he starts to walk up to the rhino. And it's at the end of the long pen, probably the end of this club, probably. And he's walking up to me, and he's turning to me, so he'll turn around and he's doing something like this. And the rhino's not moving. And for a second I was like, do I not know what rhinos do? Right, like why isn't this rhino sticking his horn up this dude's asshole? This is what we're paying the money for, you know what I mean? And he's getting closer and closer with not a care in the world. I'm like, what is happening? He probably got within, it feels like 15 feet. And the rhino just looked at him and let out this noise. I'd never heard a noise like that before in my life, dude. I was like, oh, that's what a real animal sounds like. Just a... Thank you. And my buddy turned to me, and I was like, there's the fear I'm looking for. This dude straight up realized, oh, I made a big mistake. And the rhino turns, and it's not that nimble, right? But when it gets out the hole, yo, I'll tell you something right now, rhinos are faster than I thought they were gonna be. This thing, and it's got those little tiny legs. I'm like, how is it moving so fast? Yeah, you know, and so it's and my buddy's just, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be close. And I reach my hand down over the side. And I go, come on, man. I go, grab my hand. And the rhinos, guys, by the way, I wish I had a picture of what his face looked like. But you've never seen fear until you've seen someone chased by a rhino. That is a fear that you don't expect to ever unlock. You know what I'm saying? That's deep, dark. He runs, he jumps 1 foot in the wall, grabs my hand. All of my weight, I just pull, lift him up out of that pen. Want to tell you how close it is, dude? I lifted him up. The rhino was so close to him, the rhino ran into the wall. Rhinos don't stop on a dime. You know what I mean? They don't really have brakes, you know what I mean? This dude, into the wall. My buddy's laying there, out of breath, just not saying anything. I'm laying there, laughing my ass off. I'm like, God, I almost saw you die right now. You're like, your rhino almost split you in two, bro. And we're walking out of the zoo, quiet. He hasn't said a word. And then he looks at me and he goes, hippo, not rhino, hippo. And I go, no dude, not hippo either.
People ask, the question I get asked the most, and I think a lot of people do, is what's it like doing comedy during cancel culture? That's made up. Anybody who's ever been canceled is now a bigger star than they were before. It's not hurting anyone's career, so don't worry about it. Any type of comedy you want to see is going to be out there somewhere for you. I will tell you, last year, somebody tried to get me in trouble for a joke I was telling. I was telling a joke where this person had an accent. And after a show, somebody was like, you can't do accents anymore. They're offensive. And I was like, you should go back to sleep. Here's the deal, man. Can accents be racist and offensive? Of course they can. They're not when I use them. Yo, I'm just trying to tell a story. And if I think the accent is important to the story, not gratuitous, but important to the story, I'm using the accent. Okay? I know what my intent is, and my intent is just to make people laugh. Let me give you the story, and then you guys tell me if you think it was offensive. I'm feeling pretty good so far. So when I was a younger guy, man, I lived in a studio apartment, one room with this other guy. And so our beds were real close to each other. The bedroom is the living room, is the kitchen, right? And so if you've ever lived in close quarters like that with someone before, and they were somebody who had a lot more sex than you did, there's probably a pretty good chance you had to pretend like you were asleep at least one time. And so I'm home on a Friday night, and my roommate comes in, and he's got this girl with him, gorgeous, 6 foot, super athletic. We all know her, super friendly, one of the funniest people I've ever met, truly a super successful lawyer. And they lay down in my roommate's bed. Oh, and she also happened to be deaf. Okay. Don't get ahead of me. Okay, here we go. All right. So they're in the bed behind me, right? And I can hear them kissing, just. And then I can hear clothes rustling, just. And then they start to have sex. And I just hear. And I was like, is that bed haunted? Like, what the fuck? Are they trying to find a dolphin on sonar over there? What is going on? And then it started happening faster. It was just like, And I was like, oh, I gotta get out of here. I don't like this at all. This is not making me comfortable, So I tried to sneak out of the bed like a gentleman, And my buddy was like, hey, don't go anywhere. He goes, if you leave, she's gonna know you can hear us, and she's gonna get embarrassed, and she's gonna leave. And I was like, dude, don't talk to me. When you're having sex with her. And he goes like this, he goes, she can't hear me. I was like, hey, I don't feel good. I gotta go, dude. I don't know, I don't like it. He goes, no, you gotta stick it out, man. You gotta stick it out. And I was like, I said, all right, but speed it up. So I got my back to him. Guys, I got the pillow squeezed so tightly over my ears. But no matter how tightly I had him squeezed, every now and then, you know what would squeeze through? And I was like, nah, can't hear that ever again in my life. So I rolled back over and I go, hey man, how do we speed this up? Do you need me to blow on your asshole? Like, hey, 5 minutes a gay is worth this being over. So you tell me what you need, dude. You need a couple of my knuckles? I'm in there for you, dude. Tell me where your button is. Honk, honk, I'll push that motherfucker right now. I go, what's the problem? He goes, I don't know why it's taking so long. And I was like, fucking me neither. What are we gonna do? He was like, I'm gonna see if she'll go downtown on me. Sometimes that makes things go faster. And I said, okay. So, right, their bed's behind me. And by the way, all of a sudden I can't hear her. But I can hear him. It's worse. It's quiet, and then just like a couple minutes later, because I still have the pillow over I just hear, by the way, remember, my back is to him. And I'm trying not to look, And all I hear is, and I was like, I kind of need to know what that noise is. I wouldn't have forgiven myself if I hadn't turned and just looked once, right? And I turned, and she is going downtown on him. He's scooched up to the top of the bed, right? And I just see him going, So I just lean in and I go, dude. What the fuck is happening right now? And I'm gonna tell you what he said. I didn't need to write a punchline because I knew I wouldn't beat it. This is exactly what he said to me. He goes, she's so toothy. I said, what? He goes, yeah, I keep trying to tell her to stop, but she can't hear me. I said, what are you gonna do? He goes, well, I tried to scooch out of the way, but I ran out of room. I'm at the top of the bed. I go, what's gonna happen? He goes, turn your head, you're not gonna wanna see this. Which made me go, what are you gonna do? And I turned back just in time, guys, to see him gently cup the side of her head and just go, no! And I will tell you one last thing, man. The guy who was really mad about that joke who caught me outside, he came up to me. He was so specific, too. He was like, hey, that joke, huh? I go, yeah. And he was like, you still friends with those people? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, how's she gonna like that joke? And I was like, she's never gonna hear it. And if she comes to the show, I'm gonna do the joke like this. It'll totally fuck her up. She's not gonna know what's happening. Well, this is your kid right here. How old are you, dude? 16. Oh. That's how he's gonna laugh. Oh.